And this is the beautiful part. The PNM, when they shut down Petrotrin, when they fired all the workers, they never mentioned the debt burden. The UNC was telling you, the yoke around Petrotrin's neck was the debt. The neck was the debt burden. The debt burden that was thrust upon Petrotrin and the Petrotrin workers and the Petrotrin family by Malcolm Jones, executive director and executive chairman of Petrotrin between 2006 and 2010. That debt is what strangled the profits of Petrotrin. That debt was what was killing Petrotrin. So all the workers working hard and efficiently and moving forward, that debt was what was killing Petrotrin. Rowley, Franklin Can and Smallpin never mentioned the debt. They're always talking about, oh, the tea lady making too much, the workers making too much, the oil ain't good, there ain't enough production. They never said anything about the debt. Well, story jump out from Dodo head mouth now, because they forget when they just lie. Let me read now. The refinery was losing hundreds of millions of dollars. The concerns of asset integrity. The looming bullet payment of US $850 million, 5.8 billion TT, which had to be paid in August 2019. There were further difficulties associated with servicing another 750 million US debt. But you know what? He never says, and this is his truth, you know what he never says? That 850 million and that 750 million debt, that balloon payment, you know who was responsible for that? The PNM. Malcolm Jones, with its projects like World GTL, with the gas to liquid optimization, the ULSD, the ultra low sulfur diesel project, all total complete failures. Malcolm Jones, but in his truth, in Smallpin's truth, he says the debt is what was strangling. But yes, say, who put the debt? It's PNM debt, it's Malcolm Jones debt. And you know what? You know who was Malcolm Jones' lawyer? You know who was Malcolm Jones' lawyer when Anand Ramlogan and Kamla Prasad Bisesa said you were irresponsible, you were wrong? Why did you take the taxpayers' money and dump it into these projects? And now the citizens, the future generations are suffering because of you. When Anand Ramlogan and Kamla had Malcolm Jones in court, this was Malcolm Jones' lawyer. Then the email gate, he went and defended the email gate liar. And the EBC gave PNM an extra hour for election and did not alert the UNC. And them squeaking the power, he went in the office of the Attorney General. And you know what PNM did under Faris Al-Rawi catsuit man? They withdrew the case of Malcolm Jones from the court. Based on whose advice? Vincent legal prostitute Nelson. I just want to pause right here and remind all you, remember what the Privy Council said about that decision by the PNM to withdraw £100 million case out of the court, and they announced it before. On what grounds? Because this PNM, and this was Malcolm Jones' lawyer, and now they come to admit Petrotrin closed down and the pressure on it was because of PNM, Malcolm Jones' debt. That bad decisions, corrupt decisions, decisions that they could not account for, suffering Petrotrin, and the people had to pay for it because of PNM incompetence. Let me hear what the gentleman across the pond had to say. Run it.
Doesn't he go a bit further than that? I mean, isn't he saying, this is all rather extraordinary? There was two pretty confident opinions from senior counsel that the case should be brought against Mr. Jones. It was. In September, there was a change of government. In October, Mr. Jones was appointed to the Standing Committee. Within days, there was a whisper in the papers that the case against him might be dropped. Within 10 days of that, Mr. Nelson is writing a very short opinion, and he's after all dealing with withdrawal of a $97 million claim, Mr. Rowe, saying that he thinks there's a reasonable likelihood of failure. In all those, and then it's withdrawn and discontinued, and all the costs have to be paid. Isn't that the basis for saying we must please see the basis upon which Mr. Knowlson cast his pessimism, which led to discontinuance?
Well, my lord, it depends upon what one is concerned with. The way it's put by the appellant in his affidavit is, well, it's necessary to allay suspicions. But to put it bluntly, as we do put it bluntly in our case, bluntly the suspicion is that there's been some sort of political interference in all of this, such that for purely political reasons the new government has decided, irrespective of the merits of the case, that it ought to be dropped.
Mr. Rowe, 2 days before this opinion was written, was a Minister of Communication for the new government saying that the case against Mr. Jones was heading for dismissal?
There's reference to that. May I just pick up the reference to that?
Yes, certainly.
Give me a sec. I don't think it's 2 days before that. I think it's actually a little longer before that, my lord. The advice from Mr. Nelson is dated the 11th of October.
Yes, I've got the Minister of Communications down as the 9th, but
oh, no, you're quite
I may well be
wrong.
wrong.
No, you're quite right. It is the...
So what was the government, why was the government floating possible dismissal in advance of receiving this advice?
Now you're all remembering. This is why I tell you it's beautiful. It's lovely. It's amazing when a dum-dum and a dishonest dum-dum is so arrogant that he takes his time to write down what he believes to be true, which cannot be substantiated. So right there you see that this government under him, this was Malcolm Jones' attorney. They used Vincent Nelson, and then you know the Vincent Nelson indemnity then came after, and the 20-something million he get in legal fees. They settle a case and pay the full amount in fees and so on. Vincent Nelson